Hey folks, welcome back to a beautiful, sunshiny, gorgeous 10-degree day here in Nebraska. Who would think that on a beautiful sunny day like this it could be 10 degrees out here? And in true Nebraska fashion, I got a long sleeve t-shirt on out here and just fine standing in the sun. Weirdest damn thing you ever saw. So I'm going to give you a little update on our Starlink here on the Homestead. Still very pleased with our Starlink. We haven't had any buffering issues like we did with our Viasat when we had that. And anybody that has rural internet that is supposed to be high speed will tell you that it's not. And there's lots of quirks with it, lots of rules, lots of throttling. So let's give you an update on how this thing is working. You can see our satellite, they call it a dish, but it's kind of rectangular now. And since it's been set in that position, it really hasn't moved. I've heard it track satellites, but I've seen it this way the whole time. So if you watched our installation video when we set up the Starlink and we fired it up and we checked our speeds, I have since learned some things, some of it through our subscribers here on the channel, and I thank you guys. There's different speeds when you do your speed test. Airplane going overhead, I apologize. It'll do 3 different speed tests when you use the Starlink speed test that comes with the app. There's lots of good stuff on that app that shows you lots of stuff, and they're very transparent about a lot of the stuff that goes on with Starlink. But let me explain some of those things to you. The 3 different speed tests that it does, it'll do your phone to the internet, your router to the internet, and then your phone to the router. Now, if you remember when I told you what our speeds were like up in the 500 megabytes per second range, unbeknownst to me, that's my phone to the router. So basically 5 feet across the living room, I was getting 500 megabytes per second. But that's not actually what you get to the actual internet. So doing some research, your phone not only goes to the router goes to the satellite. Well, then the satellite goes to a brick and mortar kind of station on the ground and then goes through the internet. And then when your return comes back, it goes back through that little brick and mortar station. I forget what they call those. But then back to the satellite, then back to your ground station with your Starlink. So when we did our speed tests, our speed was about 150 to 160 megabytes per second down and right around 20 megabytes per second up for our phone, which is what I use mostly for the internet, phone to internet connection, which is what you want to look at. And I'll show you a picture of the phone to internet connection. Now I'll show you a picture of the phone to router connection. And now I'll show you a picture of the router to internet connection. So, even though we're not getting the 500 that I originally thought and misspoke about in my last video, the 150 that we are getting is well over 10 times what we were getting before, 15 times basically what we were getting before, because sometimes we were 19 megabytes per second down, sometimes we were 1 point something megabytes per second down. It depended on if we were being throttled or not, because those other internet companies will throttle you down. Now, I've seen some reports on the internet about Starlink now being throttled because of the new premium Starlink that they're putting out. These people are saying that they're having to throttle back the standard customers to allow for those premium speeds that they're advertising for the premium accounts, which are $500 a month and like $2,500 to start up for the equipment. Basically geared towards businesses that use a lot of internet, basically serving all their employees and everything that goes on within their business, which you don't need at home. The normal standard connection that they're offering right now is plenty for what you need at home. But for what you're doing, they're recommending that if you're like gaming and stuff like that, this is not your ticket. But if you're out in rural somewhere where you don't have fiber, you don't have DSL, you don't have anything but the satellites, which, again, I do not recommend because they're lousy service, this is pretty much your option. And I still stand behind it. It's a great option. We're not having any issues with it. But we'll tell you a couple other things that we found out on the internet. So there's our router in the living room. They say if you're having slower speeds, what you want to do is unplug your unit 3 times rapidly, or if you have a power strip, just turn it on and off 3 times. And your system will do like a factory reset, and it'll research satellites and all that stuff. It'll basically redo your setup process. Now it makes you enter your network name and password again. Now that doesn't mean you got to reconnect everything in the house. As long as you use the same network name and same password that you used before, everything's still going to connect. So don't worry about that. But you do have to re-enter those. So it's not a big deal. And then your dish will start moving again and research the satellites. So they say that will bring your speed back up to what you originally had when you first hooked it up. I haven't had to do that yet because we really don't have an issue. But as they launch more satellites, as the coverage gets better, they say it's a good idea to do that. So when there's new satellites there, your router or your equipment, your satellite dish and all that, will see the new satellites and you'll tend to get better service. Now, on the app that you download for Starlink, it lets you look at all your outages and your service and all that. So I'll show you a picture of that. So you can see there's ups and downs in the outages. I guess the biggest thing is the latency. And you'll see that it's not like kind of a smooth line. It's really jagged, kind of like a heartbeat. And they say that's not a good thing for gaming because it'll cause issues pausing your program and stuff like that. But for just streaming and stuff like that, it really doesn't cause problems. The weird, not smooth latency that you get, or the service, the smooth service. But we haven't had a problem. And then the other thing it lets you do is it lets you check for obstructions in your yard. You can do that with the app with your phone. You can look into the sky with your phone and it'll tell you whether you have blockages or not. Or once your dish is set up and gets working, after about 12 hours, once it's searched around or whatever, you can click on a button to look for obstructions on the app, and it'll show you the view of your sky. It'll show like a picture of your satellite dish and the view above it. And I'll show you a picture of that. So as you can see, we have no obstructions the way we have ours set up, even though I have a tree line all the way around the house, as high as it is on the house and far enough away from the trees where it doesn't pick up the trees. If it picked up any obstructions in that big blue umbrella that you see in that picture, there would be red spots if there were obstructions. So we don't get any obstructions here. But that's a really cool feature that lets you know if you need to move it or move some obstructions or trim trees or whatever. So pretty cool. So moving forward, I still highly recommend getting Starlink because compared to what we had, night and day difference. for a short, maybe 20-minute video. Before, it would take like 5 hours to upload, and I would have to do it at night when Kelly wasn't on her phone and we weren't watching TV. So right before bed, like at midnight, I would upload the videos. Now I can do it whenever I want, whether Kelly's on at home, on her phone, whatever. I can still upload, and guess how long it takes? Literally 5 to 8 minutes, depending on the length of the video. Crazy difference with that. And I don't have to worry about it. Before, I had to wait till the next morning to go in and do my adjustments and add links and stuff like that on the YouTube studio site. Now I just watch the upload for like, it'll tell you how many minutes it has left, and then I can go directly in and add my links and stuff like that to the video on YouTube. So super cool. So if you do anything like YouTube content, stuff like that, or just streaming videos, or use a little bit of internet at your homestead, highly recommend Starlink. Now, we had to wait a year to get ours. When we first moved here over a year ago and saw what kind of internet junk we were dealing with, we immediately requested Starlink. We paid our deposit of $99. And then, what was it, a month ago or a little more, they notified us and told us that it was now available to us. So it took right at a year to get it. And they shipped us the box. We paid $401 because they take the $99 deposit off of the $500 equipment purchase price. So it's kind of a large down payment on that. And it's not really even a down payment. I mean, you don't have to pay any more after that other than the monthly fee, which is about $80 less than what we were paying for really crappy internet. So you can't beat it right now, no matter what people are saying about Starlink. In my opinion, they're the only game in town that will do what you need it to do. So if you got any questions, feel free in the comments. Like and share, helps the algorithm. We really appreciate your guys' support. We're looking at the people that view our channel. Most of you, like 80% of you, aren't even subscribers. So hit that subscribe button, folks. We're not doing it to make money, but we like to get to as many people as we can, and that does help the algorithm. So love you guys. Stay safe, stay healthy. We'll put a couple links over here in the corner that you can click on the way out. See you next time.